Okay, this is not going to be one of the most perfect recordings ever. Get used to it. You know it's me, right? Okay, fine. But I have to tell you this story. Now, I've done improv for a number of years. Yes, improvisation. I studied with some terrific people down in Houston, one of whom goes by the name of Elisabeth Tsubai, or Libby Tsubai, and she and her daughter Miko were in the car one day talking about things and talking about how badly movies have been completely destroyed by remakes, with terrible people being cast in these parts. The discussion got to the point of worrying that someone like Britney Spears might actually end up doing Gone with the Wind. And so they began, both of them being improvists themselves, began going back and forth about how horrible it would be to have like Britney, and doing this whole thing in the complete Valley Girl, and talking about how I'm Scarlett O'Hara, and, the Thompson boys came over and they said they're going to be war, and I said, no way, and they said, way, and this became what was now called the Britney Rant. This improvisation game premiered in Houston, at a wonderful show called The Liberation. This was something that Libby was doing to raise money for charity, and we all came in and did a whole bunch of fun stuff and so forth. And there were several of us on stage at the time. I seem to recall that it was me, Dave Howell Depew, who is the gentleman who created Third Coast Comedy down in Houston. Wonderful group. If you're anywhere near Houston, go find them. I'm trying to remember who else was on stage with me. There were four. We were four together doing this bit, and we introduced the Britney Rant and explained how it worked. So I take it back. I do remember one, because one was Adair Gockley, who was an amazing lady, who did, someone challenged her to do, I beg your pardon, I just completely lost the name. Okay, Helen Keller. And the thing that was terrific about it is that Adair came up and did this whole thing with the closed eyes and and every time she would go like, and the hand goes like when she's describing all this stuff, which was really wonderfully rude, very funny. So there were four of us. I've forgotten who the fourth person is. It's terrible. Meanwhile, someone from the audience, about 80 to 100 people in this thing, pretty well packed for this particular theater, someone hollered out, Joan of Arc. And I thought, wow, Joan of Arc. And I did not notice that the other three people took one big step backward. So I look around and realize I'm by myself. Oh, me, I get this one. Okay, wait. Let me find her center. Now, I have retold this story a number of times, and so some of it has come off as being slightly polished. But I promise to you, and I can find witnesses, that this is what happened. Okay? Hi, I'm Joan of Arc, and I lived this really, really long time ago, back before girls were allowed to be fighters, because I wanted to be a fighter because I didn't really like boys that much anyway, And so I went over to the fighting field where everybody was going to do fighting stuff and everything, and I went over and I said, I want to be a fighter. And they said, you can't be a fighter, you're a girl. And I said, well, bummer. And they sort of laughed me off the field, And so here I am, and I'm just really depressed. I went back to the house, and suddenly I heard this voice from on high, and it comes down and it says, Joan. And I said, what? And the place exploded right in that moment. Every person in the house howled. It was like a physical blow. I could feel it coming at me. Wham! And I held the position as long as I could until he died down. Then I said, no, really, it's true. And it was true. I got this voice and everything, and his voice said, Joan, I want you to come be a fighter in my name, because there are people who've been naughty in my sight, and I want you to go smite them, okay? And I'm like, oh, that's totally cool. I get to smite people? That's nice, thank you. Is it really, it's really okay? I'm sanctioned and got all the paperwork and everything. And he said, yes, it is cool to do it in my sight. I want you to go smite them, okay? So I thought, oh, that's wonderful, that's fantastic. But the problem is, God doesn't exactly come down with a contract for you to sign, and get all these permissions and everything, because you know how the law works. It's just always too crazy. And so I thought maybe I'd better go by the church real quick and just make sure that they knew what was going on, just in case they didn't get the memo, And so I went and I saw this priest who's there, and I said, look, God came to me and told me that he wanted me to be a fighter because there have been people who've been naughty in his sight, and he wants me to go smite them, okay? And the priest says, you can't do that, you're a girl. And you can't be a fighter. That's not true. God did not speak to you. And I said, yes, he did. God came to me and told me to go be a fighter. He said, blasphemer. I said, no, fighter. This is about the point where the routine started breaking down, because I'd pretty well run out of steam by that time. But that was the fun part, and a brief explanation of what is the Britney Rant. Those of you who do improv, please go ahead and go for it. It can be found in further detail in my book, The Improvisation Playbook, which was published about 2006. Not 19, that's old times. And I would be very, very happy to talk to you about that further if you like. Let me know. And the Improvisation Playbook is available at Amazon and Barnes & Noble and other fine stores. Thank you so much. Enjoy it. Bye.